The time I beat the crap out of a pick-me girl. I am a professional boxer. My husband has also been training in combat sports for over a decade. After we got together, he took me to his training gym, where I met his female training partner, who had been training with him for many years. She was the biggest pick-me I've seen in my life. On the first day, I stood quietly in a skirt, watching them train. She came over and warmly asked, "Why don't you train with us?" He likes girls who are into sports. I smiled and replied, "No, thanks." During the training, she constantly partnered with him and chatted with him during breaks. My husband, then boyfriend, ignored her and walked over to me, asking if I was bored waiting. I shook my head and told him that he looked really handsome while boxing. She followed us and put her arm around his shoulder, looking at me and saying, "We are all about violence, you probably don't like all this fighting and killing." She then positioned herself between me and my husband, turned away from me, and started asking him some boxing technique questions. My husband was getting a bit annoyed at this point, but he didn't want to be rude, so he told her they could discuss it later after the break. She turned around, seeming to notice me for the first time, and said, "Ah, I see. You probably don't understand what we're talking about and find it boring, right?" I remained silent with a cold expression on my face. Later, my husband decided to change partners during the break. She exaggeratedly said to me, "Are you really jealous of this too? It's just a normal training process. We don't mind male or female partners. We've been training like this for over a decade. Don't be so petty." I was getting infuriated, but I couldn't find the right way to confront her. My husband noticed my upset and said he would stop training and go home. In another encounter at the supermarket, she once again pushed me aside and held on to my husband, chatting incessantly. I decided to walk away to buy some snacks. My husband finally got away from her, saying he needed to check on what I was doing. She followed him, saw the snacks in my hands, and exclaimed, "Oh, how can you eat such junk food? It's so unhealthy. We boxers have a strict discipline and never eat this stuff." I replied, "I love to eat what I like." Then she started messaging my husband from time to time. I was naturally angry and told my husband not to respond to her messages. He was quite helpless, saying, "She's asking me about training techniques, I can't just ignore her. We've known each other as teammates for so many years. Every time she saw me at the gym, she made a point to say, 'We only talk about training in our messages, don't worry about it.' During training, she would cling to my husband, touching his shoulder and waist, using the excuse of correcting his training movements. My patience was nearly at its limit. Once, when I accompanied my husband to the gym and changed into sportswear, intending to train with them, she started her act again. Since she had been training at this gym for many years, she always led the warm-up exercises. She deliberately made the warm-up more difficult and intense than usual, making everyone exhausted. Gasping for breath, she ran over to me and proudly said, "This intensity is just ordinary for us, the actual training will be even tougher. It's normal for you to find it hard at the beginning, you'll get used to it with more practice." I smiled and replied, "I'm not tired. I just think this warm-up is not scientifically sound." She got angry and pulled my husband's arm, saying, "She doesn't know anything but acts like she knows everything." My husband patted her arm down and said, "My girlfriend is a professional boxer." She looked confused, and I said, "I also do boxing. Today, I'll use one of your punching bags." She was surprised and excited, suggesting we spar in a real fight that day, but I didn't want to do that and told her I didn't feel like it. She began insulting me, saying, "I get it, most girls who do boxing just want to look good, they are timid and weak, afraid of real combat. Very few girls are like me, tough like a man, not afraid of getting hit." Ha ha ha. I got annoyed and decided to fight her to shut her up. I told her, "Fine, let's do it." She condescendingly said, "Don't worry, I'll take it easy on you." My husband saw that I was genuinely upset and didn't know how to deal with her constant pestering. He helped me put on my boxing gloves and mouthguard and gently said, "Don't get too angry, just open up your heart and spar, but be gentle." When the fight started, she came at me like a mad woman, throwing heavy punches. What happened to take it easy on me? I dodged and evaded, occasionally asking her, "Why are you so aggressive?" She ignored me and kept on attacking with full force. It was evident that she wanted to bully the weak. If I were a complete beginner, she would have beaten me badly. She had gone too far, and I had had enough. I didn't want to engage with amateurs, lowering myself to their level, or disregard martial principles. But when someone provokes continuously and tries to snatch my man, even animals have territorial disputes, let alone humans. So I stopped being defensive and started to counterattack. Although I didn't go all out, I did hit her hard enough to make it painful. She couldn't last a minute against me. My personality may be quiet, but I am a boxer. Martial artists should cultivate their moral character, and when faced with strength, they should respond with strength and be willing to challenge those stronger than themselves, rather than taking advantage of the weak. She had trained for a long time and thought she could bully others. So, I just gave her a small lesson. Since she wanted to act like a tough woman, and one of the boys, I dealt with her like how I would treat a guy. After I gave her a beating, she finally stopped bothering me. I'll update everyone if she ever does again.